Okay, welcome back. And I need to hook up the other camera because that's what we ended up the last feed with. So let's see, how in the four hells do I do that? I think we need to make this small. Let's see. There we go. Put it down here at the bottom. There we go. Welcome, folks. Sunday evening edition of Painting More Polish Nights. I thought I was going to seal these guys, but I didn't do that. I didn't get around to sealing them. So far we've got 1, 2. I normally wouldn't seal them. No, my normal procedure is to get everybody done and then seal them. 4 nights. So we got 5 left to go, and we already started working on this fellow. And you can see what he's gonna be blue, and he's gonna have that little cross thing on him. Anyways, I pour myself I guess it's not an adult drink, it's a child's drink, a soft drink. And we'll get started. Again. And whatever pain in the neck, headache I had this morning, I had it all day long. It finally went away. I actually went and exercised and it got better. I think something was pinched. I'd say I spent too much time painting, but that's not it. I haven't injured myself from painting. This is a pretty comfortable seating arrangement, to be honest with you. I think it's that light blue chair I have in the other room that I end up destroying myself on. Okay, so we're going to be picking this guy up. That's where we'll go. So put this away, and this goes here, this goes here. I think we may be too zoomed in. All right, we're going to paint here, and our night's going to go there. Got it. It's just shy of 7 o'clock. You almost done with those nights? Nah, this is the 5th one. I got 4 more to do after that. Then we go to Byzantine land. I really should do a unit of Cav too. I'm not going to. I'm going to go to land of the Byzantines. Maybe those figures will come in just in time. I got other stuff I can work on without them. So, land of the Byzantines. Let's minimize this. I gotta see if I remember to put my figures for the game night tomorrow, to do that the day before. I have a habit of never doing that. Because I'd rather be rushed than put the army together and something happen and I can't go. That's just a carryover from stuff that happens at work. You know, surprise! I got a green box here that's kind of in the way. I wonder if it's not that one. And I figured out how to do something that I wasn't able to earlier. Was this right here? Well, how come it's not coming up? I was able to do it before I went online. Oh, there we go. I bet that'll do it. Nope. There it is. I wanted to do that when he did that earlier today. Kevin was nice enough to send a donation, so I'm sure we're going to put that to good use 4 months from now when I finally get a hold of it. It takes about that long. So I know other people that say they supposedly paint for a living. You must be selling crack on the side. There's no way you can live on that. Even if you got paid well, it's going to take you a long time to get it. So, anyhow, thanks for Kevin earlier this morning. Totally unnecessary, but much appreciated. All right. Let's go back to where we were. And we weren't using that big brush. That thing is holy. You gotta save that for special occasions. All right, let's look at this blue situation because it wasn't this one that we were using. I want to say it was this one over here. Why is that green box still showing? Damn it, man. There we go. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the Byzantines because they're going to look stellar. I haven't seen too many people do them in 15 millimeter scale. I got some ideas. They might fight like sissies, but I got some ideas. So I don't normally think of Essex figures having a lot of detail on them. But compared to the really primitive knights I just got done painting from Falcon, these guys have a lot of detail. So these four aren't going to necessarily go quick. That's all right. As I like to say, they'll get done when they get done, and not before then. I'm going to drop some more of this blue because I'm going to need some more of that. Now, we still have an active white over here. We do. All right. Kind of. Dun, 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 dun. Paul Howard, totally fascinating watching you work, man. Okay. Well, Welcome. This is my yoga. This is mindless. This part of it. And it's extremely forgiving. So if I screw up, which happens, you got to screw up once in a while. You'll never know how to fix your screw ups. I just don't want to make a mistake because it's inefficient. I could be making new stuff instead of making mistakes, which is kind of the whole reason I haven't done the rest of my. I have a half dozen, maybe 7. I don't think it's more than 8 armies that are not 3.0 compatible. And I haven't gone back. Well, it doesn't really count as a mistake, but I haven't gone back and fixed them because of different reasons. My Spanish, my feudal Spanish, which is my first army, my fanatic Berber, both of those armies, I think, got better in 3.0. But my basing changed in 2009. So any armies I painted before 2009, which would have been about 7 or 8 armies, those have not been converted yet because the basing technique that I used was a little bit different and more basic than what I'm doing now. So I'd have to basically rebase a whole army, including the figures I have painted. Which I'm not opposed to doing. I've actually, I glue all my guides down with epoxy, and even that, I've taken them off stands before and fixed them. So it's not an issue of that. It's just I could be working on something new instead of refurbishing something old. Eventually I'll get around to doing it, but I just haven't done it. My third army, I believe, is the Koreans, which have a host of different issues. The first issue I have with them is that they don't make the figures anymore. And it is by a company called Lane Tuller. It was a one-man show. He was a French sculptor, lived in the south of France, and he died about 5 years ago. And his family didn't want to continue the business. It's a really small business, the way I understood it. He literally you had to go and knock on his door or something like that. But I like his figures. The metal's kind of soft on them, so that's kind of a bummer. But they're nice figures. So they're not made anymore. The person that sold me the army said they were a Koguryo army, which is a Three Kingdoms Korean army. Not Three Kingdoms Chinese, Three Kingdoms Korean. And it was a really cool army list and really cool figures. And my first Asian army, and that time there weren't too many people doing Asian armies. It's always nice to bring an army to an event that nobody else has, and that almost guaranteed you were going to do that. So anyways, I built it, won my first tournament with that army, but it's 2.2. The list changed significantly from 3.0. And after I find out, these figures were marketed as Koguryo. But after I do some other research, after the army's completely done, because they were done around 2007. And the internet's changed a lot since 2007. We have access to a lot more things that we didn't back then. And it's not really accurate for them to be a Koguryo army. They're really a Koryo Korean army. So they're kind of, the infantry's not right. So I would have to do something like, if I wanted to rebuild that army, get the foot figures from Khorasan, which are more accurate, and change them, plus rebase them because they have the old rebasing. It's just a lot of work to go back and redo an army. My Marian Romans and my Armenians didn't change at all, but the basing is old school. And I've played that army almost 100 times, so I've gotten my money's worth out of them. My Marian Romans and my Polybian Romans are the same boat. They were like done basically back to back. They have the old basing style, and I think both armies may have added some extra elements. Polybius may not have any extra elements, but the Marian Romans definitely have some other elements that could be added to them. Almost all the army list got better or more interesting, except a few of them. One of them is my Southern Dynasty's Chinese. They had the elephant nerfed out of them and got given to the later Tang. And a lot of little things changed. So I've got basically that army that's I can't use in 3.0. So I haven't rebuilt it yet. I don't know what I would use the troops for. The basing's good. I did it in, I want to say early 2010 when I did that army. Matang Chinese, same boat. They changed significantly. Had to redo basing. I just haven't gotten around to it. You know, I'd rather create something new than go back and refurbish something old. And luckily, my old stuff, I don't dislike how it's painted. It's just the basing is very, very is more less exciting than it is now. So, but you learn from each other. I noticed like, oh, I like some people put little rocks in there, so start adding some rocks. Ooh, I like tufts, not only the static grass. You add tufts and along with the static grass, and you know, you progress. But I haven't done that yet. I'd just rather, if I'm going to do all that work, I'm just going to build a new army. Yeah, the feudal span should be 3.0 compatible. I got to do something along the lines of like, build like a fast crossbowman stand and like another spear unit or two more spear units or something like that. And that's all it would take. But, you know, I'm not going to rebase them the old way. So I'm going to have to, you know, do I really want to play with like 3 or 4 stands in the army that look different basing wise? No, I'll have to rebase everything. And I want to take them off. I don't want to just throw it on top of the other basing. I don't think it's going to look right. Somebody asked me, said, man, how do you have time to paint? I said, okay, well, look at this. How much time do people spend watching, say, sports or television? How much time do you spend doing that? I don't spend any time doing that. So that's money. That's time, money. Well, time is money. I can put that in the bank and use it to paint. And honestly, I've gotten to, in the last year, ever since we've been doing these live filmings, I do less and less video games and more of this. Because at the end of the day, you don't have anything to show for the video game. Doesn't mean they're not fun. Just means that, you know, I'd rather do this. Ever heard of Force of Arms as a skirmishing game where the figures are individually based? I have not. Is it for ancients and medievals or something like that? Force of Arms. No, I haven't heard it at all. If I did 28s, I'd base them on something, and then they would fit in a Sabo stand, and then I could play with them individually also. That way it could be double duty, but I spent enough time painting these figures. I get 28s, and I'll spend too much time. That, and I got like 80 pounds of lead in this scale that I need to use up. That I should use up. All right. Is the yellow still alive? Force of Arms. I haven't heard of it though. Okay, this is the color that we use as the base for the yellow. Let's just take it, and then we're going to add yellow to it to lighten it up. I'd never even heard of this game before. Until I played it at a convention. I'd never heard of De Bellis Antiquitatis. What the hell is that? And I would have gotten scared away by the rule book. What is this guy trying to say? I'm out of here. Designed for historical and custom armies, yeah. I have played Lion Rampant. I haven't played it with my figures, but I don't see why the hell you wouldn't be able to do that. Why you wouldn't be able to play in 15 stands. 15 millimeter stands. Just mark off casualties. Has that nice press your luck mechanism. Mechanics. Let me get some more white on here. Kevin, welcome back. Kevin, you may have signed out after the... Oh, I figured out how to do this, by the way. I figured out how to do... Does it take some time appearing? There it is. I figured out how to do that. Thank you very much. We'll put that to good use. And you had been off, I think, by the time I came back after breakfast. But one thing is do you have any battles or something you would like for us to see or do? Is there something? Is there some kind of theme that you would like Mitch and I to maybe play through some battles? Maybe something we haven't seen or. Don't really want to do that stuff with the whole clan because the reality is the other people play slower. And I know Joe probably wants to use his own armies, and he's, well, Joe gets to pick whatever the hell he wants to do when he comes down because he's traveling. Same thing with Marty. Marty comes down, he's traveling 2.5 hours. Marty, what do you want to do? We can do our shit whenever the hell we want to, even on Fridays, which I prefer a lot better than Monday night. Monday is almost the worst day it could be. Thursday would be bad too. Yeah, I guess you were off this morning because I asked you that, and then I also asked you if you played any DBA out there in Arizona because one of the people that when I first started playing here in Florida, there was a husband and wife that used to play together, and Marv and Betsy Schmidt, and they went to Arizona. I know Arizona's a big state, so they could be down in the other end of the state. So, Battle of Hastings, DBA style. The Plains. The Plains, boss, the Plains. Battle of Hastings. Well, none of us own the Anglo-Danes. Yet, they're actually on my list. Because, not because they're exciting, but the figures are made by, who are those guys? Forged in Battle. And they look beautiful. They look really, really interesting. I really like those figures, and eventually I'm gonna get to paint some. But Mitch has the Normans. Too bad there's no good Comanche sculpts. I don't know. I don't know if that would fit in one of the VBA armies. That's probably the period I'm the least interested in, is armies of America. There's just not a lot of... The army lists aren't interesting. The one that Joe has, probably the most interesting army. Northwest Indians. They changed quite a bit, and they got a lot more interesting. Because they're like half blade, half bow. I actually looked at the Mayan list recently because, well, I just watched Apocalypto, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, that could be interesting. But I've got the conquistadors to do. I got all the Spanish. I just need Tlaxcalans to do. I have the Spanish from something else, for Renaissance stuff, but Mitch has been on me to do Byzantines for so freaking long. We'll see. Then after that, I think I know what I'm going to do next, but I'm not going to commit to what I'm going to do next just yet. Problem is there's not just a few armies I'm interested in. I'm interested in like damn near every freaking army. Went to the biggest gaming store yesterday and they told me no one does historical. Burn the place down. Screw those guys. Yeah. Yeah, these new punk ass kids don't do historical. I actually don't have a problem with the fantasy. I just don't like Games Workshop business model. It doesn't work for me. You know, make these rules and all these figures and all this fluff. By the time I get painted, they'll change the rules. Oh, we don't play that anymore. It doesn't work for slow ass painters like me. And you know, and part of the reason I like historical is it encourages me to read about it. What encouragement do I have from playing Warhammer? What, reading fantasy crap? You know, reading their fluff? It just doesn't appeal to me, you know? I know lots of people that do both. I don't have time for both. I can't be into everything. That's what old Nordic said. Can't be into everything. Mr. Davis, welcome. We found a wargaming club half hour from me that is mostly historical. Wow. Well, don't go up there and run them off. This guy that I know that has a historical gaming group. He says they play a lot of Flames of War. They rotate through different things. And so the problem with his group is there's a couple of guys. His group is like a dozen people. And he said there's a couple of guys that are just assholes and run everybody off. But you know, of course, they're there every time. I'm glad I don't have that problem. Unless I'm the asshole. I said that one time. I said, every group has an asshole. And if you think your group doesn't have one, then it's you. You're the one. No, but seriously, it was like he had this group of guys that would get together, and these two people were problematic, and they were always there, and people didn't want to play with them if they were there, and that's a problem when you've got a couple people ruining everybody else's experience, you know. The problem I have with gamers is I don't like most gamers. Because there's a couple things I'm not going to put up with. I'm not going to put up with people that smell. I'm sorry, folks. You know, you guys should all have a job. And you're not allowed to smell like a frickin' cattle when you go to your job. So take a shower, dude. Wear deodorant and make it in everybody's size. I'm not going to put up with that. That's just stupid. You know, Mitch doesn't wear shoes, but he wears deodorant. So, no, Mitch wears shoes. He just doesn't wear shoes at home. Well, he's in his shed. I'd wear shoes if I were playing in the shed, but your video is super choppy. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think YouTube is. I have no internet problems here. I think that when it's going through YouTube, there's too many drones flying around, and that's using up all the. There's too many live videos from Kiev that's using up all the bandwidth. That's the only thing I can figure. I haven't done anything different. I don't know what we can do to make my program better other than let Putin win. And then there won't be any drones flying around. Maybe that's not a good solution. I honestly don't know. I really honestly don't know what the problem is. This is the color that we're going to use for the horse flesh, the horse fur. I haven't done anything different the way that this channel's set up, and I have no idea what's causing that, and I don't have the tool set to fix it. I could go live on my phone, but then you won't do 1080. And it's going through YouTube, so it would be the same problem. Yeah, a lot of dropped frames. I don't know, I haven't done anything different. I'm sorry. Lots of clubs use Facebook to organize, and I bailed on Facebook this year. Yeah, I think Facebook is great for that. I don't need it for anything else. I think Facebook's good for a hobby. I stopped doing things on Facebook Live because not everybody wants to be on Facebook. This has a bigger footprint anyways. It's a lot easier to use. A reason I was able to do Facebook Live stuff before I got 1,000 subscribers. Well, once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I just went to this. Just get a bigger footprint. The reason I don't like Facebook is not the reason that most people don't like Facebook. I don't like Facebook because I'll find something cool. I'll go in the morning and I'll see something cool. And if I don't pay attention, like from what page it's posted on, if I find like 3 cool things and I click on one, and I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool. And then I'll get back, figuring I can just check on the other 2 things that were cool. But I don't remember what page they're on. They're gone. Because the sorting system, and I've tinkered with it, and it doesn't matter. You know, so if you wake up in the morning, you got to pay attention. You know, when you see something, or who it came from, because you can't just use the back and get back in it. The other politics and supposed banning of people's opinions and stuff, yeah, it's going to happen anywhere you want to. I don't post anything controversial. My biggest gripe about Facebook is that, you can't even put a joke that involves, that Adolf Hitler in it, but you can post anything you want with Joseph Stalin in them. And as far as I'm concerned, they're both the same freaking asshole, Short dictator that killed millions of people with mustaches. They're in the same category. So, I don't think that that's equal treatment. I don't have a problem with them banning Nazi stuff, but ban the commie stuff too. I won't do that. That's really my only gripe with them. I don't post political stuff on there, so the fact that they're skewed one way or the other doesn't really matter to me. I don't use it for that, but it is great for getting people together and stuff like that. I hate email. I hate email because you get multiple people on an email, and like one person will ask something and people will like respond to the original one without looking at the other things, and it just creates a lot of work. You're basically like herding cats. So I hate personal email. I love using Facebook Messenger to communicate with people, is I can access that from everywhere. So I'm not anti-Facebook at all. I don't want to get them many ideas, but I might even, if it was a pay-for service, like $5 a month, I'd probably pay it just because it's that useful. Not to give many ideas, but I think it's very useful for the hobby. Very, very useful. Facebook took the place of going to the miniatures page. The miniatures page is dead. It's been dead for me. That was a toxic place. Yeah, I've been having connection problems. I don't know what it is. Don't you know somebody going to make a fortune making Ukrainian miniatures like Red Star did with the Chechens? I didn't even know that they made them. Yeah, and I don't have a problem wargaming any conflict. I have thick skin and it's just a game. I disconnect the two things. You know, war is horrible. You know, I mean, I love reading about war, but, you know, war is horrible. I don't want to be in one. You know, I don't want innocents to suffer and stuff. But it's like a horror movie. That's the way, you know, people that watch horror movies, I don't think that they want, you know, cheerleaders killed. Well, some may. I'm just saying, but, you know, that's not why. So it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, I figure the drones are using all the bandwidth up, so. Ukrainians, isn't it just like, aren't they regular like just Russian equipment? I don't know. I got the force on force rules. I'm sure if you did that, you'd have all kinds of people complain. Some people are just out there looking to complain about stuff. I'm not one of those people. You know, I'm like, if I see something I don't like, I just go the other way. I have to confront situations that I don't like confronting when I'm being paid to do it. When my day off, I'm like, hey, look at that over there. I don't like that. Cool, I'll go this way. You know, just I leave things alone. So on the Ukrainian thing, I mentioned in the show earlier, the early show, there's at least 3 people that I know that have YouTube channels that have done Ukrainian, you know, what their opinions on the war. And that's fine, you can do that. I have no interest in doing that. And this one guy that I follow, just the day before yesterday, they had already made a video why they felt the way they did about the Ukrainian war. He made a video yesterday when he was really baffled that not only had some people not made videos about why they supported the war, but also that they didn't want to talk about it. Like, why would you even say that you didn't want to talk about it? I'm like, because some of us don't want to argue the whole freaking time. I don't know. I think in the last week, we've talked about some topics that, you know, that make a lot of people uncomfortable. But I think people that come to this channel get it, that it's like we all have different opinions and, you know, I don't have all the answers. Things seem weird. They don't make sense. So I'm the first one to say that, you know, when things seem off, I'm not afraid to say things seem off. You know, it doesn't mean you support a dictator or something like that. But I don't want to be that guy that makes friends with Joseph Stalin just to fight Hitler. And I'm not saying comparing anybody to anybody, but I don't have all the facts, you know. And if anything, it's the last, since 9/11, if we've learned anything, it's like we need to get all the facts before, you know, we jump to conclusions. I was asking for gaming matchups on my last video. Yes, maybe the Vikings' greatest hits. That's actually a good idea. Other than the Vikings it'd be boring to play. But we haven't done it before. Of course, given your love of Warband, you get to run the Vikings. Have a contest for naming your commander. No, I think the way to do it is the way either alternate or like we did it in the last, in the Hebrew one. We just roll to see who gets to play so-and-so. I think that worked. I think that worked out really well. Empress has the molds now. For the Chechens? Yeah. What was the other war they went into? That Ostesia or whatever. Otesia. I don't know. I'm going to go get another Coke and some more ice. I will be back extremely shortly. Yeah, the Vikings is a good theme. I'm not even going to be the returning soon. I'll be right back. Okay, Empress has the moles. I take it they're 28 mil, aren't they? I want to say this person you played a game using force on force and did Chechen stuff. I don't really know anything. I don't really know anything about it. But that's the problem with current events, man. It's like the jury's still out on it. I got stuck watching this video. I went on my YouTube yesterday, and sometimes you get recommendations that seem interesting. I got a recommendation of this guy that was rating U.S. presidents on a scale of A to F, and his presentation or whatever made me like start watching. I'm like, all right, let me watch this guy. But what he did is he stopped. He didn't even get into the Clinton one, so he stopped short, and I think that was kind of wise for him to do. He said the jury's still out on a lot of this stuff. He's just having fun with it, but we're getting all kinds of information from all kinds of different sources, and I personally, as a citizen, would like to tell me the best of your knowledge what you think it is. But there's people out there that are purposefully twisting things to fit an agenda, and I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to hear the news I want to hear. I want to hear what it is, and I can make my own decision. But so I kind of don't pay attention to the news, because in the last 20 years or so, I've just kind of been agnostic when it comes to it. They've been caught crying wolf too many times. So that's what I was talking earlier. I don't like playing those games where you have to you end up having to play a turncoat and convince the other players that no, you're really a good guy. I just don't have it in me. I don't have it in me to behave that way. I don't want to have it in me to behave that way. It's too difficult keeping your lies straight, Some people are better at those things than others. I don't even want to play a game of that. And there's a few of those that have that mechanic. I don't think Mitch likes it either, because he absolutely hated, what was that one we were talking about? Battlestar Galactica. We both hate that game, and we both played it at 2 different times and weren't even in the same room. So he had an experience with it, and he absolutely hated it, and I absolutely hated it as well. So that's not a genre that we seem to like. But the Vikings is a good idea. Other than the Viking list is just very lacking. I think Mitch and Luke both have a Viking army, and you can tell how many times we've used it in battle. We haven't. because it's just blade with a side of blade and more blade next to that. There's nothing wrong with a bunch of blade. They could pretty much handle everything except elephants. Don't think Vikings are going to run elephants very often. But it's just kind of boring to run. But that is a good idea, you know. Somebody else has suggested Sumerian city-states. The problem with Sumerian city-states is we don't own any of the armies. So if you want to do a whole series of battles revolved around folks that we don't have any of the armies, you're going to be seeing like Macedonian pikemen. You know, it's going to be like really off what they look like. Doesn't mean we can't do it, but not that the army lists are boring. It's just they're going to look completely different. Then the troops are going to look completely different. Empress has the moles for the Russians and the Chechens now. Yeah, what scale are they? They got to be 28. 28s. 28s is the happening thing. I would do 15s individually based before I'd do 28s. The 28s just take too much time. They're going to take too much time for me to paint. I never grew up playing Warhammer, so I don't have that attraction, that tie-in, where that appeal for that scale it doesn't exist for me. I never got into that. And it used to be, like I said before, I didn't like how 28 millimeter figures look. Now, there's lots of manufacturers that make 28s that look awesome. There's some awesome looking 28 millimeter figures out there. I just don't want to spend 12 hours painting one figure. That's what it would turn into. I can't just throw them together. 28 millimeter, really gorgeous detail. For my modern type skirmishes, and I'm going to throw in World War II into modern, I do 20s. And I got a fair number of them. But I can't be into everything. Wise man once said, I can't be into everything. I can be, and then nothing would get accomplished. It's not even a cost issue. It's just nothing would get accomplished. So I got to keep myself on a real tight rope, or I'm going to get a whole lot of nothing done. And that's very unsatisfying. Very much so. I don't know why the hell this internet is just, or YouTube. I don't think it's the internet. It's YouTube. Missing a bunch of skipped frames. Skipped frames and shit like that. Let me do something. It's probably going to freak this thing out with it being on. Let's see if I can run speed test. I bet it's not here. Run speed test. I bet it's on the YouTube end. Testing download, that's fast. Testing upload, that's fast too. Yeah, it's on YouTube's end. Your internet connection is very fast. Your internet connection should be able to handle multiple devices streaming HD videos, video conferencing, and gaming at the same time. There you have it. It's not me. Nothing I can do about it. So yeah, technically it's Putin's fault. There's not all the bandwidth for that damn war. Oh man. I actually had a guy on this morning from Moscow. Poor guy. He's in a mess. And he wasn't in favor of what was going down there. Of course, you never know what kind of information he's getting other than the wrong one. He's definitely only getting one side of the equation. But maybe we'll have crappy connections until that's over with. And not necessarily there, but lots of people putting live videos on and things like that. It's got to have an influence on it. So I guess if that's the case, if China does something crazy the next month or so, then the internet connection will be even worse. Let's hope not. I pride on whatever I put on here. You're not getting any fake news here, okay? I make mistakes. I fix them. We make mistakes in our games. We don't edit them. You know, it is what it is. It's just like it is. It's just it's too difficult to obfuscate and create situations that aren't real. It's not worth my time. So I know there's other people that put out videos and they're much more professional than what we do. But if we did that, first of all, there'd be a lot less videos coming out. No doubt about it. And it may cause burnout because editing videos and is not relaxing. It's not horrible, but it's the more complicated you make a video, the more difficult it is to crunch it down, export it, and have YouTube process it. And the last one that I just did, it took them like 7 hours to process it. So I think they got a lot of resources handling the current event situation. Looks like we have a storm going through, heading your way. We do? Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't even pay attention to. You better not have a rainy. Well, next week's kind of slow at work. So weather. Well, we'll check that later. Not tonight, at least. Yeah. So it looks like it's on the YouTube end because there's no processing issues here. I streamed through Facebook just to test it, but Facebook's dumbed down at 720p. 720p is just garbage. Maybe next time I do a painting video, we'll just go through the phone on a mobile connection and see if that's a little bit better for you guys. I don't want you guys having a bad feed. I know that would annoy the hell out of me. I'd be like, screw this Tony guy. I'm gonna go watch something else. That's not what we're here for, to piss you off. That's not the point. I don't get on the internet to argue with people and personal attacks and that stuff. You feel a different way than I do. That's cool. That's still allowed, I think. I'd never seen a video take that long to process. Yeah, it got sent to U-boat. To U-boat? It got sent to U-boat. No, the streaming surface wouldn't be called U-boat unless the other guys would have won the Second World War. YouTube. It took them like 7 hours after getting it for them to put it in the right format. I've never seen them take that long. It wasn't a particularly long video. Wasn't a particularly long video. Too busy dealing with other videos. I don't know why I rolled into painting the socks on this horse, because I'm famous for not doing that until the end, but you got me excited discussing stuff, and I kind of lost track of order of operations and critical path. All right, I think it's time to do the chainmail on this guy. And he's got actually a fair amount of chainmail, this particular chap fellow. Still got some of this blue stuff? Yeah, we do. Just a tiny little bit of a blue hue. Just mainly so it looks